Hey, what's up everybody and welcome back to News Dose. And I have to say, it was a fun weekend. I mean, you'll have to hear me say it at least one more time. You know it. Fly, Eagles, fly. I know the job's not done yet and everything, as this should be a hard-fought week with the 49ers coming to town. And they're a good team with a beastly defense. But let's go. Fly, Eagles, fly. In all seriousness, though, I get a little excited about the Eagles and everything, but we do have a lot of gaming news to get into today, including Xbox shutting down some of those crazy rumors that were circulating last week. Then PlayStation's first big exclusive for the year might not be as big as some were hoping, and also the Xbox Series just got even better, as it once again is showing how dynamic it truly is. Let's just go and get right into things, though, starting off with Marvel's Avengers. It is now official. Crystal Dynamics is ending support for this game, including delisting it on digital storefronts this September 30th. More on that here in just a second. Its final update, though, will go live on March 31st when its marketplace will go free, including outfits, emotes, challenge cards, etc., etc. This was really one of the main issues with this game pretty much all along, though. See, the thing is that we have seen the potential that these Marvel hero games can have. Look no further than Insomniac's Spider-Man. That series has already gone on to sell like 30 million units. It's absolutely crazy. But that's the potential that these IP have when, and that's the key word here, when they're done right. Unfortunately, in Marvel Avengers' case, Square Enix decided that they want to chase the mythical cash cow syndrome and made this a live service game. This is something that just didn't catch on with gamers, and if anything, it angered them. I mean, Square Enix at one point in time, they were even making deals with companies like Sony to make Spider-Man, one of their most popular heroes, exclusive to PlayStation. For a multi-platform game, that is a slap to the face of both PC and Xbox gamers. Marvel's Avengers is on all of these platforms. I mean, really, when you think about it, why should they support this game? Square Enix clearly wasn't supporting them. It goes both ways. If you don't respect the community, they're not going to respect you either. So, I mean, this game just got off to a terrible start. It had bugs and issues when it launched. It was a live service game, which was always debatable from the get-go, and it just flat out didn't meet expectations. Now, Square Enix, they tried to salvage this game and even tried to put it into Game Pass at a later point, but instead it just got nowhere slowly. This really is just yet another example of a live service game that ultimately failed, but this time for a very well-known IP. That's kind of the difference here. Now, with all that said, though, the ironic part about this entire situation is that now, with its marketplace going free, it might actually be the time to jump into this game. It will be delisted on September 30th, but if you own it, you can still play all of its single-player content even after that point, and multiplayer will remain playable as well. Now, we also got an update for Armored Core 6 from FromSoft's next game, though this is a good update. What's happening here is that it will have its own hour-long presentation at the Taipei Game Show on February 3rd. Now, there's still some question marks regarding this presentation. We do know the series producer will be there, but we don't know if this presentation will include English subtitles or not. However, with Armored Core 6 set for a loose 2023 release window, the hope is that at the bare minimum, we'll see some sort of gameplay. I think right now, Armored Core 6 has more eyes on it than any of the previous titles in the series have had, considering FromSoft's rise to stardom with Elden Ring. I mean, really, they've just kind of grown in general with, Sekiro, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, and Bloodborne, but Elden Ring really has just taken this company to new heights, with that mainstream market really jumping into their games. So there's a lot of anticipation to see what FromSoft does with Armored Core 6, and hopefully we will see some official gameplay here, again, on February 3rd. Nonetheless, though, with just so little information on this game thus far, that appears to be changing rather soon. Now, speaking of anticipation, PlayStation's first big console exclusive for 2023, being Forspoken, will be out tomorrow on January 24th. I was very hopeful that this game would turn out to be a good, solid game. Keep in mind that I am using past tense here, which is very deliberate. That will kind of make more sense here in just a second, but Forspoken is a big AAA game coming from Luminous Productions, the same studio that worked on Final Fantasy 15, and Amy Hennig, the writer and creative director for the original Uncharted trilogy, had some involvement. So, I mean, it had some promising pieces, but then the more we saw of this game, it seemed like there was just less and less hype. It was going into the opposite direction that you want to see. Fans were not enthused the more that we saw, and that was even more the case when Square Enix dropped its playable demo. I mean, the entire goal when it comes to playable demos are to entice fans, but everything that we heard about the demo, fans were let down. That's when I really felt like, yeah, we might have a problem here. Now, actually, speaking of the demo, true story. So we had some guests over for the weekend, and one of them told me, you know what game's going to flop? She quickly says, Forspoken. Her and her husband described it as one of the most cringeworthy games that they had played, with terrible writing and just an unlikable character. Well, it looks like they were exactly right, because here we are one day later, and lo and behold, critics are saying the exact same thing. Forspoken, as of this recording, sits at a 68 overall score with 61 reviews. Now, that is a large sample size. It's not going to move too much from this point going forward, but these reviews are pretty much validating the impressions that I've seen most fans have. It's being described as a bland RPG. It's flashy, but not overly fun. The writing is just cheesy at best and just poorly written at worst. And your two protagonists, they're being described as unlikable. So yeah, it's not looking pretty for Forspoken, and here we are, I mean, this is just 1 month into 2023, and we may already have a candidate here for this year's biggest disappointment. I mean, I can only speak for myself here, but I genuinely was hoping that this would be a good game. I very much do like Final Fantasy 15. This coming from the same studio, I was hopeful, and it just doesn't seem like it kind of turned out that way. And I think that with this being a big AAA game, it obviously had a big budget. Square Enix invested a lot of money into it. Sony, for that matter, they invested a lot into it, locking it down for 2 whole years. And then to see it launch with this type of poor reception, there's no other way to slice it here. This is not what you want to see. Now, I've seen some people online try and make an excuse for this game and compare this to High on Life, which I think is just an absolutely ridiculous comparison. And let me explain why. High on Life was written as a comedy. Now, comedy can be subjective, and not everybody's going to enjoy the same thing, obviously. But fans, when we're talking about fans, they seem to love High on Life. It has generally been received very well from fans, whereas so far, and this is the reason that I've been saying that I'm cautiously optimistic about Forspoken, and that's because fans were leading the charge in not liking Forspoken. Its demo was met with a lot of criticism by fans, whereas, again, fans seem to actually enjoy High on Life. So I think that that's a very poor comparison to make. Now, with all that said, just because critics and a lot of fans don't necessarily seem to love Forspoken, that doesn't mean that you won't. In fact, if you look at the reviews, it does have 22 positive, which means anything 75 and above. So there are people that enjoyed this game, and you might be a part of that group. That's really the thing about any game. Yes, there's going to be games out there that are more universally praised. That's not what we're seeing here with Forspoken, but never let somebody necessarily deter you from enjoying what you enjoy. That's the beauty of the world, and people, really as a whole, we can form our own opinion, and just because I don't like something, that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't like it as well, and vice versa. So if you like Forspoken, or if you think that you will, more power to you. I do hope that you do enjoy it. Now, nonetheless, there you have it. Forspoken, I don't believe has met expectations, and I would certainly say that this is a concern for Square Enix, as its sales could be majorly impacted by this. We saw this last month with the Callisto Protocol. It was just announced last week that it did not meet expectations, and they very specifically said that they believe a part of that is because it did not review well. And here we are seeing yet another new IP not review well. This could be a bad sign for Square Enix going forward. Now, we do also have some Xbox news to go over, actually 2 different topics, in fact. So let's first start off with how the Xbox Series just got even better. Now, one thing that makes the Xbox Series such a great platform is in how dynamic it is. This is something that I actually also say about the Steam Deck as well, but what I mean by that is that there's some features built into these platforms that allows you to take things to just a whole different level if you want. In other words, emulation. Right now, the Xbox Series is well known to be an emulation beast. Debatably one of the best ways to emulate retro platforms in an affordable way. Whether you have an Xbox Series S as a great affordable emulation option or the Xbox Series X, which can unlock even more power, you can easily boot them into developer mode, load up something like RetroArch, and then play tons of retro games, whether that be old PlayStation games, old Nintendo games, or even something a little bit more advanced like Gamecube games. Now, keep in mind that currently a lot of fans are calling for Nintendo to remaster GameCube games. So there is a clear desire for these games with HD visuals in the year of 2023. But technically, you can actually play these games on your Xbox right now. Now, to be clear, I do encourage you to own your games. Just throwing that out there. But the thing is that emulation on Xbox might be well known. We've talked about this in the past, but previously, this was done through RetroArch. Now, this worked and everything, but there was still a lot left to be desired. I wouldn't necessarily say that RetroArch is super user-friendly, but even more so when it comes to GameCube, the official Dolphin emulator is far ahead of what RetroArch has to offer. Games both look and perform even better on the official Dolphin emulator. So that's what we're talking about today, because Dolphin has now officially released a UWP version that can be downloaded to your Xbox. I believe it's in beta mode currently, but even still, this means that you will be able to play 99% of all of your GameCube games with better performance on your Xbox. This also includes HD packs if you want to mod your game to look even better. There's a lot of those HD packs out there. Now, MVG, he posted in an entire video on this subject. I will drop his link in the description below. He does a phenomenal job per usual. He goes over how to install it and what type of results he was getting with the Xbox Series S, which is truly, truly exceptional. So do check out his link in the description below. Now, if you're wondering though, yes, you can technically install Dolphin on the Xbox One and the Xbox One X as well, but as he noted, not with great results. It runs at like 15 frames per second on there. The Xbox Series S, yes, it's a cheap, affordable option, but its processor is so much better than something like the Xbox One X, and that's why it is a next generation leap, even if it's not necessarily this resolution beast. But nonetheless, if you are interested in emulation on the Xbox, you're gonna need to get an Xbox Series. And quite frankly, especially with the Xbox Series S, I mean, this is a console that's $300, and sometimes you can get it for even cheaper than that. I believe it's going for like $200 during the holidays. So this is a great machine, specifically if you want it for emulation purposes. In fact, I could see a lot of people just buy it for the sole reason to do just that. Now, this other Xbox update, though, comes from 343 Industries. We talked a lot about this last week, so I won't keep you all too long here, but basically, after they were hit with some layoffs, there were some rumors floating around last week that they were essentially being pulled off of Halo as the main developer going forward, and really there was just a lot of doubt for the future of Halo. Well, Jason Schreier and Jez Corden later debunked these rumors, which we covered last Friday, but something that I noticed heading into the weekend is that those original rumors were still spreading. Honestly, it kind of feels like a lot of these Xbox rumors have popped up recently, many of which have turned out to be false and, still have spread quickly. And that appears to be very much the case here as well. 343 did post an official response over the weekend that was short and to the point. They simply said this: Halo and Master Chief are here to stay. 343 Industries will continue to develop Halo now and in the future, including epic stories, multiplayer, and more of what makes Halo great. Pierre Heinz, studio head. So there you have it. Now, I have seen some people kind of criticize how short this response was, but it did its job. Most of the time, these companies, they don't even respond to rumors in the first place, but at least in this case, they shut down this rumor officially. Now, as I said last week, though, I think Halo will be fine going forward. Halo Infinite's problem has never been with its quality, but rather with content. It did win the Player's Voice Award for a reason back in 2021, and that's because fans, at the time, they were enjoying both its multiplayer and its single player. Halo Infinite's problems didn't arise until much later when it became more evident that 343 just wasn't ready to support it with constant updates. That's when its issues started to pop up. With 343 restructuring though, and they do have Pierre Heinz as the studio head now, hopefully they can improve going forward. He did help with the Halo Master Chief Collection after its treacherous launch, and they did get that game majorly turned around, so we'll kind of see if he can maybe replicate that with Halo Infinite. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, do you want Obsidian Entertainment to work on a new Fallout game? Of course, this is the studio behind Fallout New Vegas. A lot of people seem to absolutely love that game, and we've also seen a few key members from Obsidian claim that they are very much interested in working on a new Fallout title sometime in the future. So there is a possibility of this actually happening, but I wanted to see your all's thoughts on this. And as you can see here, 62% of you all did say yes, bring on Fallout New Vegas 2. Then 19% of you said no, you want them to focus on their own IP. And then 15% of you all just said it doesn't matter either way. Now, I do kind of fall in that group because the thing for me is that Obsidian, they've just proven to be excellent developers. Whether they're making Avowed, Grounded, Pentiment, whether it's the Outer Worlds 2, Pillars of Eternity, or a Fallout game, they just know how to make good games, so I'm just excited for whatever they develop, just period. But with that said, you are once again seeing here, there's a lot of fans of Fallout New Vegas, and I think that Solly kind of made a good point here. Solly says, yes, Todd shouldn't be expecting us to wait 10 years for the next Fallout game, and that really is kind of the thing here. Bethesda is very much busy with Starfield and then the Elder Scrolls 6. It's going to be a long wait before we see Fallout 5. But now that both Bethesda and Obsidian are under the same umbrella, there is this opportunity where Obsidian could work on a Fallout game while fans wait for what Bethesda does with the franchise next. That is a possibility, so I do think that Solly makes a very, very good point. Either way, though, it does look like a lot of you all very much would like this to happen, so I guess we'll see. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.